The only way you can get exceptional results is by creating exceptional teams. There is no other way. Through the course of my experience and my professional journeys, I ran into a guy by the name of Paul Spiegelman. And while I was running hospitals, he was running small organizations that support hospitals. He has a call center that's the foundation for many of his efforts. Right now, he's the president of the Barrel Institute, which is a patient experience organization that really focuses on that patient's entire continuum. Brilliant guy. Anyway, we're bantering back and forth, and we're finding some common themes in leadership that create very robust and successful organizations. Ron McMillan's a great author. He's one of the co-authors of The Influencers and Crucial Conversations. And he talked about organizational vitality, right? What makes an organization energized? And you can feel it, can't you? Have you ever walked into a place and you just kind of feel there's a good buzz? Have you ever had that experience? Where you just kind of know there's something good going on? And to that end, we started putting into buckets ideas and thoughts and observations. And we concluded that our life's mission is to change healthcare. And we started writing our thoughts down. And one morning he has this epiphany. He goes, that's really a boring title. I'm falling asleep just reading it. I said, well, I thought it was kind of cool, kind of catchy. He goes, no. If we want to be a blessing to the people of the communities we serve, if we want to change how people look at leadership, let's give them something kind of controversial. So we changed the title. The theory is we wanted to be a little controversial. We wanted to get out in front of the dialogue to say, you got to build exceptional teams. Because this world is a-changing. And it's not just in healthcare, it's in every single area of our lives. Would you not agree? Wouldn't you like to just have a moment of quiet? Where you just kind of, please, just no more changes, no more competitors entering the market, please. Could I have like a week where just, and when you go on vacation, think you'll get that, what happens? Yeah, when you get home from the vacation, all heck breaks loose. So this constant change has been a challenge for all of us. In healthcare, the market dynamics are significant. And I could go at great length describing some of those changes, but unlike any other industry, we're taking care of God's creations. And we have a responsibility to do that with excellence. And the changes in healthcare are so dramatic. And some are just, even within the industry, are shaken by that. But I would suggest that we have the finest healthcare delivery system in the world. I've lived probably a third of my life outside the United States. I can attest to this to be a truth. And we do more for more people than has ever been done in the history of mankind. Ever. We identified 10 truths. And we started asking questions about these truths with our peers, our colleagues, our friends in the industry. As we started to have that conversation, individuals would misrepresent how good their company is. I had an interesting conversation with a buddy, and I said, yeah, you got a great team, don't you? He goes, I got a phenomenal team. It's wonderful. So I had a conversation with some of his colleagues, and the colleagues' conversation was, not so much. The place really isn't that great. And they started articulating concerns and challenges that they found in the organization. And because of that, Paul and I said, well, maybe we could measure this. Maybe we could start polling the peers, the individuals within the organization. And we created something called a culture IQ, a CIQ. Now, the title of the book was Paul's idea. I'll give him total credit. CIQ, my idea. I just wanted to say that. It's not a Pulitzer Prize, but it's really cool. So, it's really an interesting way of us probing into an organization's cultural vitality. And what we're going to do, and in our book we did this, we presented the 10 concepts, we threw out the cultural IQ, we invited individuals to go to a website. Paul's got a team that can put this together. I'd invite you to do it. It's fascinating. You fill in the information, they'll shoot a report to you immediately, and you can send it out to your team members. And we'll shoot you back a copy of not their individual results, but your aggregated results, and have it sliced. We have received thousands of these cultural IQ surveys, and we started aggregating them together and started looking at the results. To that end, overall, the tens of thousands that have filled out this survey in all industries, The average grade is about a 68. 68, that's about a, what, is that a C or is that a D? I guess in my family it's unacceptable, but okay. In that 68, we said, well, where do we stand? If you score 0 to 3, think about a career change is our suggestion. 31 to 50, don't worry, there's hope. 51 to 75, kind of the range we're in as those that have been surveyed. You're on the right path, keep at it. 76 to 90, consider yourself special. Now keep it up. And then there's always those grade mongers that, how are you doing? Awesome, fantastic, yeah. 91 to 100, our response was really, really, if you say so. This is an interesting breakdown in the healthcare space, how we looked at where do board members and C-suites and senior leaders, supervisors, physicians, nurses and frontline see their organization. Wouldn't it be interesting as an executive to see, confidentially, where your team sits, how they feel about you and your organization, and the board members? The physicians is an interesting one. In the survey, and you kind of get into the details, we won't go today, the physicians think they are awesome, but everyone else sucks. It's just kind of, we started slicing it through on age. And it's really interesting. Some organizations have a real changing dynamic. We looked at it as it relates to age. I'm sorry, the previous one was tenure in the organization. This one was age in the organization. But mediocre scores across the board. Now, we started asking ourselves these questions, these 10 questions. I'm going to go through each one, and we're going to talk a little bit about these questions. And ask yourself, where do you sit? You're welcome to go on that website. You're welcome to send the link or shoot me an email, and I'll shoot it off to Aubrey. We can set something up for you. You might ask, why would we do this? We just love this stuff. This is important. If we're going to change healthcare and organizations as a whole, we got to be willing to do this kind of stuff. And I'm grateful for O.C. Tanner and folks like that who play an important part in what you'll soon to see, a dialogue about improving the vitality and leading change. Mission, vision, and values. Our core values are deeply integrated in our decision-making process. We know this to be true when we have to make tough decisions, and the values of the organization are the foundation for that conversation. Perfect example. So I'm doing my monthly or my annual budget review. How many of you have had that? And I'm going to the division CFO, and we're talking about FTEs. It's always fun talking about FTEs. When I talk with my physicians, they don't know what FTEs are, so I use jargon to annoy them. FTEs, and they say, we're having this conversation, and the CFO looks across the table, and this is the division guy, and he goes, you don't get it. You don't get it. This is a business. This is a business. I'm looking at it. And I'm sitting beside my chief nursing officer, Sheila Everly. I just adore her. We've worked together for many years. And it's getting tense, and the emotion kind of subsides. But in that dialogue, across the table, behind him is a beautifully framed mission, vision, and value statement. Above all else, we are committed to the care and the improvement of human life. And in recognition of this commitment, we strive to provide high-quality, cost-effective health care to the communities we serve. Bing! And so I'm listening to him with spit coming out of his mouth with that mission statement. So afterwards, Sheila and I went to lunch, and you're just beat down from the budget experience. And we just laughed. We just laughed and laughed and laughed. Because they revealed their true core values by the decisions that they made and the behaviors they exhibited. Too often we think people don't get it, but they do. Getting in the dunk tank. Sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do. We have fun at work. That's the second question. Now, when asked, scored herself a 7. Let me ask this group. How many of you had fun at work? My boss is right here. I had a lot of fun. It's really fun. Sometimes I spend more waking hours with the people at work than I do with my family. Is that not true? And it's you might say, oh, that's horrible. You just don't love your family. No, I love my family. They annoy me. No, that's not true. My wife's right here, sorry. Love my family. But there's obligations that I've assumed, and there are days when it is a long day. And Interestingly enough, when I joined an organization back in 2000, it was a for-profit hospital system. I was the fourth CEO in 4 years. And I was there for 10 years. And from that beginning, place of complete chaos, to the point I left, we made some pretty significant, tremendous change. I've since joined a not-for-profit, faith-based hospital, and we're going through the same life experience, which has been magnificent. But when I joined that organization many years ago, we did a survey through Press Gaining on employee engagement and satisfaction. And we were 35% of the employees were defined as actively disengaged. Actively disengaged. Staggering. How many of you, to Mindy's point, how many of you want to be taken care of by an employee who's actively engaged? We were spending $1 million a month on contracted labor. People who were just coming in to take care of direct patient care. We did the survey, and there was a 38% turnover rate. You couldn't keep staff there. We completed the survey, and one of the questions we asked, are you having fun at work? Those scores mirrored the actively disengaged. How many of you believe that? Fast forward, I joined this new organization. Great history, but not really ready for the fun. Not really, very stoic. And the employee engagement scores was the 51st percentile. We've since last month at the board meeting Monday night, we announced that we achieved the 93rd percentile in comparison to all hospitals in the United States. We're very proud of that achievement, moving the culture from the 51st percentile to the 93rd percentile in 3 years. Great accomplishment. But we had a series of forums and engagements at the very beginning of this journey, and in that situation, 13% of the employees were defined as actively disengaged. And when we asked the question, how many are having fun at work? 13% said no. We believe having fun at work is key. People come to our hospitals, it's the most serious of situations and conditions, right? It's scary coming to a hospital. And our intent is that they say hello, they welcome them. And one of the keys we found is that they would say hello in the elevator. Seemingly simple. So we would start mystery shopping it, and they wouldn't say hello. And we thought, well, this is such a simple thing. So my HR director, she's brilliant. She said, well, let's pull a gag. So we put my office, my desk, in the elevator with a phone and piles and serious, that's a funny video. And then we videotaped the reaction. And as they walked on the board, good morning. Oh, excuse me. Good morning, administration. This is Britt. May I help you? Oh, yeah, thank you. Hey, how are you doing? It blew minds. It absolutely blew minds. They still laugh about it today. Do we really care? Are we having fun? Are we willing to invest in the funny? Are we willing to do things that we have never done before and do them in such a creative way that they're impactful? Some folks are uncomfortable with that. You got to get over it. Because the new emerging group expect it. They expect a sense of engagement that has never before been seen. My father could sit in his office and mandate. Those days are over. That's probably part of the 4,000 organizations that have failed miserably. Those days are over. Now, it leads to the second question, do we really care about the people with whom we work? Are we willing to do silly things that engage them? We ask this question. We have a system in place that shows that we care about the personal lives of our employees. Do you? Do you know your team? Do you know about them? Do you know what keeps them up at night? Do you understand their fears? So often we make decisions that are based on our values and our understanding, and we fail to recognize that they come to the table with a lot of history and a lot of experiences that will modify their behavior. One of the saddest days I ever had was one of my staff came into my office and shared with me that she was getting a divorce. Devastating for her. Another one, diagnosed with breast cancer, that wasn't her biggest fear. Her biggest fear was how to deal with her children, her young children, and explain that to them. She's doing wonderful now, but do we really care about the personal lives of our employees? Are we willing to make investments in such a unique and new way that's powerful? I really like, Texas Health Resources, the parent organization for the hospital where I work, uses OC Tanner and uses the applause system. And I was a little skeptical of this tool. I'm going off to talk, but if laser beam me if I say anything offensive about. I said, it's so impersonal. I like to write personal notes. I like to write personal notes to employees and such. So this, applause where you send an email, you have a bunch of selections, and then you can recognize them with your mission, vision, values. If you haven't seen the product, it's awesome. It really is. And what I'm finding is this new generation, they like technology. That's how they want to communicate. They feel connected with a text message. My mom would be aghast at that. You need to write a personal handwritten note. Now, this is how, and they want visual, and they want to be recognized. And it's fascinating to me that this product is really fitting that need beautifully. And so as we walk down this road, we started encouraging our team to utilize this tool. Our results have been magnificent. We're the largest users of it within Texas Health Resources. Every day I get a copy of a note that's been given to one of my coworkers, and I can send a little comment and reply. They love it. I didn't think they would. I was like, I don't think they're going to like it. I'm an idiot. They loved it. We also recognize that people like to be appreciated and respected in different ways. So not only electronic format, but handwritten notes. And this is the wall of my chief nursing officer. Every time he gets a note, he puts it on his door. He puts it on his door, and as people walk by, they get a chance to read it. And guess what? Since he's been doing that, the number of letters and notes has increased exponentially. Kind of a cool dynamic. Outside the four walls. Outside the four walls. I believe that if we lead change and bless the lives of the people with whom we work, that they go home and bless the lives of the people in their family and the community in which they live. How many of you believe that? It's a truth. It really is a truth. We found that when we engage in service to the community we live in, that it inspires us. Saturday we did the American Heart Walk in Dallas. Hello, are you kidding me? I nearly had heat stroke. But we had 600 walkers from our hospital show up with their families. It was cool. It was fun. These last couple of days I've been talking with staff. How are you doing? Are you exhausted as I am? Yeah. Who's the idiot who scheduled it in the middle of the summer? Total for THR, I think we raised over $450,000 from the American Heart Association. Awesome. Paul does a kind of a neat thing. We asked this question: our employees get personally involved in our community and service activities? Every 9/11, and that's why one of the reasons Paul couldn't be with us today, Paul and his team, they go on short staff on their call center, and they go to a local fire department, and they help paint the fire department and the doors and some other areas and help. And he says that is one of the most bonding experiences for his team. It's creative, it's new. We plan to do that next week for the Dallas Independent School District. We're going to one of the schools, and we're going to buy all the flowers, and we're going to do yard work around one of the schools. I think it's the Scott Johnson School. Hiring for fit. We know this. We fail to fulfill this. We score ourselves pretty good. We hire for fit in addition to skill. But so often it's like herding cats, right? You've got all these moving parts and all these individuals. Purposefully identifying those that fit is key. Nothing is worse, and I share this with those that come in new employee orientation. Every 2 weeks we have new employee orientation. I give about an hour presentation on the mission and the vision and the values, the promise we make to the patients we serve. I talk about, are you part of this great work, or is this just a job? Because if this is just a job, we don't want you. And I warn them. I said, if that's who you are, we're going to hunt you down like a dog, and we're going to fire you because we don't want you here. It's too hard. You got to love what you're doing. And it's funny too, because some people will be nodding their head, yeah. Some people going, well, crap. Guess I'll have to sneak out the back door. Here's the question. We quickly and appropriately move the wrong people out of the organization. When surveying, we score ourselves a 5. How many of you today work with a whiner, a loser, or a jerk? Come on. Come on. Blink your eyes if that's true. We have scored that out of 5. It's one of the biggest issues that we've identified It's one of the challenges that we're facing today. And sometimes we're fearful to say, no more. I've had enough. You're driving me insane, right? And regrettably, we personalize it, as opposed to returning to the mission, the vision, and the values. I've been blessed that I have, on a whole, I think I've only had one hard one. Individuals that leave my organization that I terminate leave happier. Leave happier. Why is that? Why do you think they would be happier for getting fired? If they're a whiner, a loser, or a jerk? Well, let's define what a whiner, loser, or jerk is. How's your day today? This place sucks. Really? What's going on? Oh, they raise prices in the cafeteria, trying to take advantage of us again. How much do they raise them? 3 cents. It's just outrageous. Or you get to work late and you have a flat tire. And you say, oh, hey, I'm so sorry I had a flat tire. Oh, that's nothing. I had 4 flat tires. It just goes on and on and on. And we spend 90% of our time dealing with that 10%. And we know who they are. If I asked you to write those down right now, the whiners, losers, and jerks, I bet you could. And guess what? Whiners and losers and jerks don't know they are such. They think they're realists. They think you're all a bunch of Pollyannas. You have no idea how bad it is. You have no idea. No, I think I pretty much, I'm the president. I think I know it's, I look at O.C. Tanner and the organizations that are in this. Not a perfect organization. Dave, am I right on this one? Not a perfect organization, but a darn good one. And the team should be grateful to be part of this great work. And if they're not, and if their day is filled with, oh man, go. And you and I as leaders have a responsibility to help them walk out the door. Now in healthcare, it's even more, I don't know if healthcare, I feel in my job emphatic about this because I do not want a loved one cared for by a whiner, a loser, or a jerk. I share the story in my book and I'll share it today. I learned that this new generation loves to email the president. So I made it very completely available anytime you want. So I'll get emails. Dude, there's garbage in the parking lot. I'll email it back. Dude, that's crazy. And it's okay. I mean, it's good dialogue and we have great conversation. I get this nasty email from an NICU nurse, a neonatal intensive care unit. And we refer to her as Nurse Ratchet. And it's very Mr. Berrett, Dr. Berrett. And I'm reading, I'm like, that's kind of surly. I don't think I deserve that. I'm thinking, but, I'm a level 5 leader. I'm a transformational leader. I'm very positive. Thank you for your input. And I write back. And then she writes back a couple days later, so I know it's not one of those day things, but a couple days later, so I call HR and I go, do you know Nurse Ratchet? And she goes, no, let me check out. Ooh, yeah, she's So I said, well, let's call the manager. Call the manager. Do you know Nurse Ratchet in the scoop? She says, she's been here 23 years. Clinically, she's excellent, but she's just mean. I just really can't put new nurses with her because she eats them alive. But, we're working on a corrective plan of action. How long have you been working on that? Well, it's been about 18 years. And, these individuals are the ones who just kind of get up to the border, then back off. You almost got them for time and attendance, then they improve. We call it turtling, right? They'll create a kerfuffle, and then I didn't start that. Why is Mary all upset? I don't know. But in the background, Mary, you got it here. We all know who they are. So I invited Nurse Ratchet to my office. And so, of course, Nurse Ratchet couldn't be nicer because she's coming to the principal's office. And I welcome her. And, oh, by the way, the HR director's with me. Welcome. Tell me about some of your concerns. Oh, well, they're not really that big of a concern. The benefits change, but it's fine. We'll do great. Awesome. And I said to her, nurse, I've heard that you're kind of mean and you're kind of rude. you could see the blood that I would speak to her. And I said, I can't imagine you interacting with family members and fellow coworkers being so rude and mean. I mean, I'm not backing up here. I'm not commenting at all. And she said, oh, I'm so surprised to hear that. No, I don't think you are. I think you've got corrective plans of action that would indicate that that's kind of your behavior. Help me understand. Well, then this is when she kicks in. She decides, well, I don't know if she guessed that the jig was up or that she just couldn't stop herself. It's usually they can't stop themselves. And so she starts floating out some issues, and I say, totally get it, totally understand. We're not a perfect organization, but this is not the right organization for you, clearly. I don't want my loved ones or the families of my loved ones being cared for by you. So you're fired. They're like Donald Trump, you're fired. I don't do that easily. The intent isn't to demonstrate to be callous, but we have got to make the hard decisions. Because those whiners, those losers, those jerks are sucking the lifeblood out of us, and you can't effectuate change without an exceptional team. And it's usually one or two that do it. Would you not agree? She was aghast. HR escorted her to her locker. She removed everything in her locker, and she was gone. It was a Wednesday. Guess what happened Thursday? They had a glad she's gone party, Woo! Everyone knows. And guess what? The team knows when you make hard decisions. The team then says, wow, thank you. This organization cares for me. When I joined my new organization, we had about 3,200 employees. Now we're down to 2,700 employees. We've reduced our workforce significantly. We've moved our overtime by 4% to less than a tenth. We've moved our cost per adjusted discharge down several $100s because the process and the systems improved. Concurrent with that, our employee engagement has risen through the roof. As I mentioned, the 93rd percentile. That, I think, speaks to the importance and the success and the measurements that can be achieved when you're willing to have those crucial conversations with the whiners, the losers, and the jerks. On this great journey, I have a book club with my team. Anyone have book clubs? Can I encourage you? They're really, really effective. What I do is I pick out a book, and I give it to all the managers and directors, and they all read it. And within about 6-week period, groups come into my office, about 15, so about 6 or 7 of these sessions, maybe 8, and we talk about the content of the book. It is illuminating to hear a conversation in a small setting about good literature on leadership. And I press the point that we must lead. We must change how we lead. We cannot do what we've done before. We need to do it in a new and unique way, and let's get good literature to talk about it. In that meeting, after 3 years of just a very purposeful effort, I sat around and I said, how many of you still are working with whiners, losers, and jerks? I counted 25 FTEs that the team of about 15 managers and directors felt were whiners, losers, and jerks. And I'm like, argh! There are 25 men and women in this organization that are submarining all the good effort that occurs. Anyone that's been in a hospital knows that can be just one rude nurse that it can impact your view of that patient's experience. How many of you would agree with that? Just one. How about in your organization? Is there one individual that's been turtling on you, that's a whiner, loser, jerk, that just, it's an ongoing challenge. So we did the old Jack Welch. I said, okay, give me a list of your bottom 10%. Give me the list of bottom 10. We've looked at it. We believe that there's about 10% that are actively disengaged. The bottom 10% now, we're getting their names and their numbers, and we're going to work with them for the next 2 years. I'm hopeful that they emerge. I find a tremendous source of success and accomplishment and joy when an individual has been in the wrong place and we find the right place for them. And then they emerge. Sometimes we've done it. Sometimes we've institutionalized their dissatisfaction because they're just not wired for it. I remember a young lady who was our patient relations rep. She was supposed to go to the rooms and check on patients. She was horrible. And we were about ready to fire her. But we knew there was something good about her, so we kept on probing and working. And it wasn't will, it was skill. And then a manager of the volunteer department came open, and we moved her into that. And she's been a rock star. So that bottom 10%, we're purposefully looking at them, how we can help them. Our focus, however, is not on the whiners, the losers, and the jerks. That's why I appreciate O.C. Tanner, because we look at the great ones and we celebrate their successes and we reward and encourage in ways that they want to be rewarded and encouraged. Do the math. We regularly measure employee engagement, create action plans, and communicate the results. Scored fairly well on this. Why is this important? We need to look at signposts along the way. We need to mark and measure our successes. When we achieved magnet certification in nursing, which is the highest achievement any organization can achieve for nursing, we had a party. Hospital employees like to eat. I don't know why that is. Maybe you experienced the same. But pizza parties, hoedowns, barbecues, and we just had a great and fun time. But we did it with purpose, and we identified what we'd achieved and why we'd have achieved it. My CFO loves this slide. It drives him crazy because when we start talking about culture, it ain't about the money. When I joined a previous organization, I said quality, exceptional care, patient's experience. That will drive the financials. If you're focused on the financials, you will fail. Good to Great speaks to this. Built to Last speaks to it. The literature is very, very strong on this point. And it's fascinating because people apparently smarter than you and I don't agree with this. I gave this presentation and a guy in the financial services industry came up to me and said, yeah, I hear you, but not in my industry, not in my company. And 10 minutes later, an individual from the same industry came up to me and said, oh yeah, absolutely. It's not about the money, it's about the culture. Returning this first individual. He says, yeah, the team I work with, they just want money. They just want money. I bet if I probed a little deeper, it would reveal some very fascinating things. I think it would reveal high turnover, high burnout, high dissatisfaction. There's a theory in leadership called transactional versus transformational leadership. Transactional leadership says, you do something for me and I'll give something to you. You work 40 hours, I'll give you 40 hours of pay. If you're going to work an extra couple hours, I will give you a bonus. A critical care bonus is sometimes what we call it. That's called transactional leadership. I don't care what you do before you get to work, I don't care what you do after work, but you're very transactional. That works very well in manufacturing, where there is no dynamic activity, where there are no changes, that it's a process, one after another. So you can monitor that. In a dynamic organization, it's impossible. Transformational leadership in the literature is different. I care about you as an individual. I care about you as a whole person. I'm going to share with you the mission, the vision, the values in this organization. And if these align with your personal values, we're going to have magic. The financials will take care of themselves. We'll create structures. We're not doing this for free, but I care about you as an individual. Because there'll come a day when all heck will break loose and we're going to have to work late. And you're not going to say, you're going to say, I understand the mission, the vision, values. I'm with you. It gets clouded in some of the literature with charismatic leaders. They think charismatic leaders are the ones that are transformational. That's not true. Charismatic leaders are fun and engaging, but they can be transactional. They're fun, but they still transact. Transformational leaders care about the individual, and to that end, they're willing to invest in the relationship, and when there are difficult times and changes are occurring, that team pulls together. How many of you have had a team just pull together in crunch time? Isn't it a good feeling? Nothing's better than that. How many of you had a crunch time when you're the only one late at the office and you're going, what the heck am I doing? I'm the only one who apparently cares. You might put a note to self. You might be a transactional leader. We have a robust reward and recognition programs. We scored a 6. Not meaning to pound this drum too hard, but what I do know is that through the course of life and the course of my job, there are ups and downs. And there are periods of time when I'm focused on something very, very hard. And I let slip attention to some areas. Reward and recognition may be one of those. What I like about O.C. Tanner is they don't slip. They keep on providing reports and assistance. So when my head comes back up, when I've gone through the winter slam, when the ORs are packed and I can't attend to this, I can return and know the team has been attending to this, and they can be encouraging me, and I can see the reports, and I can see what's being done. That is what we're talking about here, a robust recognition program that is not flavor of the month. Nothing is more annoying than, woohoo, we're going to do this for 1 month, and oh, forget about you the rest of the year. Last, we're teachers. We regularly demonstrate our commitment to growing and training our employees. Made a big push on this with my team. The quality and the caliber. We've concluded that we are not going to do any more on-the-job training. That's a predominant behavior within hospitals. You bring someone in food and nutritional services and environmental services, and they graduate up. Maybe they get an associate's degree in nursing and a bachelor's degree, maybe go to a master's. We've concluded that we're not going to do that. So we've created Texas Health Resources University. We have an old building, we've refurbished it, we've invested the time. We have our very first CNA class going through. I think that's kind of cool. I want to be the dean of that school, actually, so I'm going to get a little hat and maybe a cape and walk around. While we were having this conversation, I started asking myself, well, what about me, Britt? What am I doing? You know, I'm encouraging the team to elevate their game, to be investing in educational programs. I couldn't be more grateful for your investment. You're taking time out of your lives to kind of think about these things. I hope through the course of this dialogue, you're taking notes and you're thinking, okay, how does that apply to my team, and what am I going to do to improve the organization which I work in, both organizationally and personally? I made that decision, and I said, well, I'm going to go back and get my PhD. So I went back to school, and my dissertation and my doctoral work was on leadership theory and strategy. We came to the conclusion, which I think you would agree with, strategic outcomes are superior with enhanced or based on leadership theory. So how you lead can have an impact on your outcomes. So, last, purpose. Our employees feel like they are here for a purpose beyond just their jobs. Score to 7. Every month I go and round the night shift. We call it midnight munchies. And I drop off treats. I drop about 600. Have you ever had those cake pops? Delicious, I'm just saying. And cake balls, and you know, I get a big cart, actually 2 carts, and I go up to the main tower and Jackson Tower and Perot Tower, and then finish up the emergency room. The emergency room can eat like you can't believe. That staff. And I recall one time I was driving home about 3 in the morning. I had worked all day, and I knew I had to get back to work for some meetings. And I'm just beat. I mean, it's 3 in the morning. I've been, hey, welcoming the team. And it's almost like a traveling forum in terms of what's going on in the organization. Exhausted. And I said, why am I doing this? Why am I killing myself on this? Because I love them. I care about them. And I hope that they find purpose in the job that they have. And for me, that's empowering. And it gets me through those tough times. And so when asked the question, how vibrant is your organization? What's your CIQ? We ask, our employees feel like they're here for a purpose beyond just their jobs. Let's move through the 10 keys of leadership if we can. Here's some summary thoughts that I might have for you. Find your passion. Love what you do. Don't compromise. One of the great life experiences I had was doing missionary work in Peru. I found my passion. It generated tremendous success for me, both personally and organizationally. Find your passion. Build your brand. Who are you? What's your reputation? How do people describe you? Young executives struggle with this because they let the organization brand them. They don't take the initiative to say, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do. And these behaviors and activities align with that. Stephen Covey's son wrote a great book, The Speed of Trust. And he talks about many times we think about things. We think, hey, I'm pretty funny. But no one knows that because you don't ever talk, right? Build your brand. Unleash the passion in others. My COO many years ago came to me and goes, Britt, I just need you to inspire me. I just need you to inspire me. It's a hard job. And I thought a lot about that. Unleash the passion in others and be an inspiration. Look for ways that you can encourage them. Their jobs are tough. And to that end, I'd also say, inspire your boss. I will admit I do not get very many applause emails. Please send me one. I say to my team, I want to be the best boss you've ever had. There is no harm in that. And if you've got a problem, you got to fix it. If you're the biggest jerk they've ever worked for, you better trim the sails because you're not going to be successful in the future. But your boss, I think, would appreciate a note of thanks, of kindness, a small gesture. Take something back from this conference and bring it to your boss and say, you know what? I was thinking about you and you did good in this event, this activity, this effort, and thank you. How many of you think that will work? I think it's powerful. Find the fun, but do it with a purpose. We talk about Britt and we talk about in the elevator, and we talk about, Paul's got some crazy videos in a Matador outfit. It's on YouTube, so if you want to embarrass him, check out Paul Spiegelman. Find the fun, but do so with a purpose. We're not talking about silly to be silly. We're talking about a purpose. I did the dunk tank for a purpose. I did Britman for a purpose. There's got to be a reason behind this. Accept mistakes, but only once. Accept mistakes. And as a leader, accept the responsibility to cover your team members. Nothing is more disturbing than to have the initiative to do something new, fail at it, and then have your boss be nowhere to be seen to help you manage through that. Weed the garden. No whiners, no losers, no jerks. Be purposeful for that. This is not a one-time event. This is an ongoing effort. Measure, measure, measure. Determine what are the key performance indicators for your team and your organization. Even if in the bigger whole you are not considering, you don't consider yourself the top leader, within your team you can create success. And that success becomes infectious. Stay uncomfortable. Change is tough. The only one that likes to be changed is a baby. If you're comfortable, you're not changing. There's got to be a sense, and it ties back to finding your passion and your purpose. I wake up in the mornings, I grieve for any patient that does not have a magnificent experience and an exceptional outcome. I grieve for that, and that gets me moving a little harder and a little faster because I found my passion and I stay uncomfortable because I know I need to do more. And the last thought that I'd have for you is love your team. It's not usually stated. I don't think there's a book on the topic. But I'd encourage you to just love your team. Love them with all your heart. Know that the work that they're doing is important. Care for them individually and collectively. Be aware of their needs. Understand how you can play a role in that. If that's small and seemingly insignificant or large and profound, do so. I think that's the role that we will play, and that's how you and I will be changed. With that, I leave you with this last quote: exceptional results require exceptional teams. Thank you very much.